when the final whistle goes at 90 minutes and you're on the right side of the scoreboard, there's no better feeling, and it never gets old.
Welcome back to the Next Level Podcast. I'm Joe Mooney alongside Brian Lemmer and Holden Law. So this week we have Matt Elder joining us. And as you'll hear about in the episode, Matt was a player for me for 4 years at UW Superior. And then he went on to play in the NPSL, which is one of the highest amateur levels in the U.S. soccer tier. So throughout his career, Matt was a distinguished goalkeeper at the high school level, and then he really hit his stride at the college level. Matt was our starting goalkeeper when we won the 2013 WIAC Championship, the first ever conference championship in our school history. He was also part of the All-Wisconsin team. He was also a two-time All-Conference player in the Wisconsin Intercollegiate Athletic Conference. From there, Matt went on to play in the NPSL. He started with the Twin Stars Academy. He played there for 2 years, a club in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Then he went on to Minneapolis City, where he spent the last 4 years as their starting goalkeeper. And during his time with Minneapolis City, he's also received a few awards. He was part of the NPSL North Conference champions in 2018 and 2019. He's been the team captain in 2017 and 2018. And in 2016 was part of the Premier League of America Best 11. I really got a lot out of this conversation. I think the biggest thing that you'll hear from Matt is just his competitive drive and how he uses that to fuel himself to continue developing even after his college career has ended. Personally, it was a really cool opportunity for me to get a chance to chat with Matt about some of the things that, I don't know that we have had a chance to talk about since he left Superior. And I think he's probably one of the, if not the most distinguished player after his playing days at Superior. So it was just really fun for me. Some really proud moments as his former coach to see him really take off after his time at UWS. So with that, I hope that you enjoy this conversation with Matt Elder as much as we all did here. Matt, hey, great to see you. Great to have you on the show. Thanks a lot for coming on. How you been?
I've been great outside of this Corona thing. Appreciate you having me on, and it's good to see some friendly faces.
Yeah. So now you've obviously been in quarantine like the rest of us here over the past few weeks. And how are you doing? How's the wife doing? How's your family? Everybody kind of making it through okay?
Yeah, I think like everybody else, we're itching to get back out into the real world. But from a health perspective, we're all healthy. We're all staying sane. The weather's starting to turn for the better, so it's nice to be outside, get some longer runs in, get some landscaping done, and get the honey to-do list started, get it complete before the real summer starts.
Sure. Well, obviously, for folks listening in here, Matt and I go way back. He played for me for 4 years at UWS and got to know him through the recruiting process even before that. So this has been a conversation that I've obviously been, really looking forward to. But for those who don't know Matt real well, maybe if you could just kind of take us through a little bit of your story, kind of starting in, club and high school as a player, your time at UWS, then on to the NPSL and some different tryouts in that along the way. If you get a chance to kind of just touch on, some of the things that are important to you, family, that kind of stuff, would love to hear more about that. And if you get a chance to also maybe just kind of highlight some of your, big accomplishments, the highs and lows, I guess, of your career too.
Yeah, no, for sure. So I grew up in New Hope, Minnesota, so a suburb just west of downtown Minneapolis. Started playing soccer pretty much when I could run and kick a ball. Played through club with Wings before it went Minnesota Thunder. And then as I got into like the U13, U14 age, made a transition over to Plymouth Soccer Association, PSA, which is now merged like every other club. And they're the Fusion. I believe they merged with YZ. So played through there, was fortunate to win a couple of state championships. We were pretty a good team. Played field up until I was a freshman in high school. And even that year, kind of dabbled as a goalie and stayed as a forward because I loved trying to score goals. And pretty much tried out freshman year for both goalkeeper and a forward, just with the mindset of my goal is to play varsity as a freshman. And if I do that as a forward or I do that as a goalkeeper, or the coach sees that I should be a outside back, so be it. I want to play at the highest level that I can. And I thought trying out as a goalkeeper and a field player gave me that opportunity. So as a freshman, they selected me to be a goalie, kind of JV starter, but then train with varsity and back up there. So really a great opportunity for me to play at the highest level you could in high school as a freshman, and learn from the best at the school while still getting game reps and starting on JV. So that really helped me develop my foot skills, but B, just seeing what it took to compete at that level. And as a freshman, a varsity training session is a lot different than your U14 or U15 training session you're used to. So 4 years at Armstrong was, always set on playing college soccer, and I didn't know where, or really even how to go about that. I was I was an average soccer player in high school, I'd say. All conference, not all state. Our team senior year was 500. So we were really average, no conference championships to lean on, and had some recruitment letters just through club and PSA. And Joe, that's where I think you saw me play the first time, and I believe I got a red card. If that's accurate, I think that's the first time you saw me play was a red card.
You did, yeah. I was actually standing with your dad, talking to him, and you got a red card for being the last man back and slide into a challenge and missed the ball, but got the player.
Yeah. So first impressions aren't everything, I guess. But so yeah, that, and honestly, I didn't even know of University of Wisconsin Superior until I got the recruitment letter from Joe. I was pretty focused on MIAC schools at that time. Some of them, Gustavus was high on my list. Augsburg was up there. Had toured St. Olaf. That was kind of hanging in there, and went up after the recruitment letter. Toured Superior. Met some of the guys on the team. Met coach. Really just a unique campus and unique feel. And it pretty much got narrowed down very quickly to Superior or Gustavus. And Superior just felt like the right opportunity for me. Campus, soccer, coaching staff, team, some of the other recruits that had already committed. It just felt like something special was being put together there. And I wanted to be a part of it. So 4 years there, I think we did all right. I don't know what our cumulative record was, but we always had a winning season, and fortunate enough to win the conference my junior year, which really we had a special team. That was a really fun team to be a part of. One of my favorites looking back through all the years. And then senior year, just really pretty good team. And it was that year I decided I wanted to try and play further than college. And a lot of that I think had been because I just really fell in love with like the game and competing and trying to get to higher levels and kind of always chasing the next thing and chasing success. And in my mind at that point, success was playing at the level after college, whether that was NPSL, Premier League of America, USL at that time was still around, or even trying to land like an MLS2 team, or, kind of even kicked around overseas. And so after that, I graduated and went and played for the Minnesota Twin Stars in the NPSL. They had won a national championship earlier 2000s, like 2009. At that point, they were kind of the NPSL team around to play for. So, played for them, played my first 2 years out of college there. My first year broke my foot in the second game of the season. So that was it for that summer. And then my second year broke my leg against Detroit City like third game of the year. So my two first summer seasons out of college were cut really pretty short. Prior to that, I was in Vancouver and had an opportunity to train and trial with their USL team. And that was an eye-opening experience for me to see a level that I hadn't seen, because I had gone from college and then to the NPSL, and that kind of felt like a step up just for the level of training. And at that point, it's guys who want to get to the next level. It's the stepping stone. So mentality was always checked in. There were no distractions at training session because everybody wanted to be there. It wasn't, what are we doing after this? Or, where's the party this weekend or anything like that. It was focused on training. And when guys stepped on the field, it just clicked on. So that was cool to see kind of that next level. And then like everything else, when you take that next jump, it's a whole another level of when I was in Vancouver, seeing these guys' mentality and just ability and the way that you could combine the two it made sense why they were in Vancouver training or on the USL or MLS team.
Yeah. So if we could just jump into that real quick, when you were out in Vancouver and then you came back to Minnesota, did you feel like, it sounds like to me you're saying that it was kind of a shot in the arm to you of like, I want to train harder. Was it because you felt like I want to be a part of that, like I want to get to that level? Or was it more so like, I can do that at this level, but no matter what, I'm going to really just kind of refocus and re-energize my own kind of mindset and my own sort of training techniques and work ethic? What was it more for you?
Yeah, I think it was a combo of the two, right? Like you spend a week out there training with that team, and it's the first time I had walked into a locker room and had post college, but had my name on a locker. My 4 sets of jerseys were laid out for me, and we knew what you were wearing on Monday morning for the session, and it was different than what you were wearing on Monday afternoon for the session, and everything was clean. They had breakfast out and then recovery stuff, and then you'd come in and grab lunch, and they fed you, and it was a regiment. So it was just really a different setting where you were literally living, eating, breathing, playing soccer. That's what it was. So it was cool to see that from just outside of the field perspective. So I went there and I felt good, and I felt like I played well. I was like, yeah, I could fit in here kind of at this USL level and compete and get better being around these better players, part one. And then part two was like, okay, if I do this, this, and this, I can get better. And, these guys go into everything and they know they're going to win it. There's a 50-50 challenge. There's nobody shying away. I mean, it's 100% all the time. And, I had come from playing where, in a training session, if I conceded a goal, so be it. Like it was a sophomore or junior that doesn't touch the field. Like I don't need to prove anything to them. Like I'm the guy. And to like, no matter who I play against, I need to just dummy them. Like every time I lace up, I need to be the best. And so I think that was the one thing I really took away from there. Like every time you're out there, there's somebody that hasn't seen you play yet, and you need them to think you're the best goalie they've ever seen. And so I think it was a really mental, more than anything, shift of mind for me.
Yeah. Okay. So then you brought that back, and then eventually you made the transition from Twin Stars over to Minneapolis City. Can you talk about sort of the that change, and what did you see that was different at Minneapolis City than other teams that you had been a part of, whether that be NPSL or college or club or whatever?
Yeah, for sure. So it was really kind of an unknown for me at that point because Minneapolis City was new. They were at that point joining the Premier League of America, which again was also new to me. I had been playing in the NPSL. So I knew kind of the NPSL teams. I knew what that competition was like, but I didn't know anything about Premier League of America. And then I also didn't know anything about this Minneapolis City team because it was new. But got invited to open tryouts. and went to that, and really like could just tell from the way that was run. It was already at a higher level than what I had been playing previously. It was a much more professional organization set up. Everything was planned ahead of time. You just felt like you were back in, I felt like I was back in Vancouver for a second. Like, hey, these guys get it. And it is the professional mindset. And we are going to be the best and we're going to win championships. And when we train, it's to win championships. And that was like everything I was kind of looking for. And so made the team and yeah, like fifth season coming up this summer and been really fortunate to be with them for that long.
So when you made the city team, the Minneapolis City team, did you have an idea that you were going to be the number one goalkeeper, or was there kind of like this, kind of unknown for you? I'm assuming that they brought a couple goalkeepers in, and I know a little bit of what their roster's been like, even at the start of kind of their existence. But I guess I'm trying to think back, Matt, to some of our conversations and just trying to remember back. Like, did you know you were coming in and were you going to be able to get that spot right away, or was it you really had to earn it over other guys who came in?
Yeah, so I think that question's twofold. One, like mentally, I knew I was going to be the number one because you kind of have to have that swagger as a goalie. You have to have that confidence. So I knew whether it was game one or game three, I'd be the number one. And I was just going to outwork and outplay whoever I had to play against. But to answer your question kind of truthfully, no, I had no idea. Nothing was promised to me. I had no idea who else was even going to be on the team. The invite trial list came in and it was none of the college kids because all the kids were back at school still. So they're telling us like, hey, we still have 20 some kids coming back from Division I schools. And, at that point you're a couple of years removed. It's a couple, injuries removed and trying to get back at it. I mean, this was my first real competitive session since recovering from my broken leg. So there was some nerves there and like just trying to dust the cobwebs off a little bit. But I think you have to go into every situation just confident and like, hey, this is my spot. I have to go get it. And so, no, I had to compete. Nothing was promised, but I approach every season, every session after Vancouver, like it is what it is. You have to be the best and you got to, win everything and go get it for yourself. So, yeah, I was confident in my ability, but I was interested to see who was coming in for sure.
Yeah. Do you enjoy sort of that pressure of, somebody else might be in line to try to push me out of the spot if I don't perform at my best? I look back to when you came into Superior and in some of the conversations we had where, there was a sophomore in front of you. So when you came in as a freshman, there was a sophomore guy kind of lined up. And there was, your first couple of games at Superior, there was a goalkeeper battle until you eventually won that spot outright. I guess, I just would like to hear more from you about sort of the balance of, like you talked about, there needs to be that swagger of this is my spot and nobody can touch me, versus also, to motivate yourself knowing that, I'm not invincible. If I don't train the right way, I can lose this. Can you talk about that balance a little bit?
Yeah, I love competition. I thrive on it. And there's always a couple different competitions. There's one with yourself, and you play the game long enough, you understand if you had a good session or if you didn't have a good session after training, or the mistakes you make. And every session, there's kind of two competitions. It's make the right decisions, make the right plays, don't make mistakes. And that's your internal battle. And then there's the battle of it's a 60-second workout. This guy got 8 reps in, you have to get 9. Or this guy dropped no balls, you can't drop a ball either. Or, this guy's, 3 for 4 with his left foot hitting the target, you need to hit 4. And it's always kind of, and I think everybody views it a little differently. I've always kind of welcomed it because I think it pushes me. And so it's, as long as you have the confidence in your ability and you have the willingness to outwork yourself, your previous self, and whoever you're up against, I think it's good to be in an environment where there is competition. It only helps everybody around, the team included.
Yeah, for sure. No, that's really cool. Um, so kind of jumping into, I guess, your career at City, and I guess maybe we'll go like kind of your overall career here. You've had to be, I think, sort of the face for a couple of different clubs. So you look at your time. You mentioned at Armstrong, with PSA as well, and then at Superior. Always one of, I mean, as the goalkeeper, it's you're kind of it's a lockdown position, so you're always the face of each team that you're at. And so at Superior, I mean, you were the face of the club for a long time. I think you worked your way into that at City too. Can you talk a little bit about the difference in maybe, I don't know if mindset is the right word, but maybe just your identity for each of those clubs? Like, I think, is there a difference in the guy that you had to be for Superior versus the guy you got to be at City?
No, I don't. I don't. I think it's the same guy, and I think it's just me and just going to, being there, being accountable. I want to make the play in the 90th minute. I want to make the play or have to make the play for the team. And if I don't make the play, I want the blame and I want to shoulder that. Um, so I I don't think I've changed, like, or I've needed to be somebody different for Superior versus City. You just got to go in. It was obviously different, because at Superior you go in as a freshman, you get to learn, and I had the ability to learn from four really good seniors. And then you go back and it's your second year, and you really know who's coming back, and it's, you're keeping 60 to 75% of the team. So you can go year to year and build confidence that way. City changes, overlaps a little bit. There's always new people coming in. You're losing guys to, retiring because they're older, or, going back to college, or going to play in the PDL, or, whatever it may be, just, being done. But I think my mindset's always go play, make the plays and try and lead for the younger guys, and, just be a resource for them, whether it's soccer or off the field even. Um, that's kind of just the way I've approached it through, Superior, and then, City over the last 5 years.
Yeah, one thing I've noticed is in the US, especially the soccer scene is rapidly developing and changing. And City is really in the last 5, 6 years paralleled that in a lot of ways, where they really came from nothing and now they're starting to get a lot of national recognition within the soccer scene, at least, but also breaking out of it. You've been around for all of that. Have you noticed within yourself and within the club that like you've changed with it, you've helped develop it? How's that been, being part of a club as it's developed?
Yeah, it's been really interesting. I don't think a lot of people get that opportunity, to really get in there at the ground floor and, quite frankly, be around for as long as, I have. And it's kind of weird now. I was having a conversation offline with Joe about this, but this year I'm going into a season where most of the guys I started with and, made the open trial with are no longer playing soccer. There's a handful of guys that are, like Nick Hutton and Aaron Olson. And they've been with us from day one, but it's cool. And I think it's the product on the field has helped. We've been successful. We've won some conferences, two of them, the last two actually. But our front staff and the way they give, or our front office and coaching staff, and just the way they give back to the community, it's so much more than soccer and winning. That obviously helps with off the field stuff. But, when we sign our contract to play, we've got X amount of hours of community service that we have to do. And I think what's special about the club is nobody's like, oh, I have to go do this. It's, here's my opportunity to go back and, help train the kids that are coming and being ball boys or ball girls for our game, or, help this organization that, is sending people to our game or really following us and believing in us. So I think their mission as a whole has helped them grow. And I think people understand that it's genuine and it's more than just soccer and winning soccer games. It's about giving people good local soccer.
Yeah, I think so. Our last interview was with Eric Watson. He's a big player for UWS these last 4 years. And he mentioned that he doesn't take for granted that the guys before him built a platform for the current teams to execute on. Has it crossed your mind that you are one of the guys building a platform for future teams to essentially ride out on the success and build bigger after you? Has that really sunk in? Obviously, you're still playing, but at an amateur level, I would imagine thinking, this is my club that I've built, not I really want to take it to the next level. And maybe I'm wrong about that, but
yeah, no, I think you're right. I mean, it'll be cool in 5 years to look back and kind of see, and hey, I played here and I was on the ground floor playing here.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I haven't really sat back and thought, that we've, or I've done or built anything, because my mindset is still just going to win games and competing like I love to do. And that's my focus. And when I'm, in the winter, when we're not playing, I'm trying to get better for the summer season. So I can be the number one and I can help our team win another championship. And when my playing days are done, I'll be very grateful to look back and kind of see that. But for right now, my focus is still kind of just playing, and trying to win.
Yeah, that's actually, Joe in the first episode mentioned that attitude a lot. And do you view yourself at all like a face of the club, or do you view yourself as, I'm the number one goalkeeper, I'm here to help the team win?
Yeah, I think I've been around as long as anyone else, so on the team. So there's obviously a really good core group, like the guys I mentioned before, Aaron Olson, Nick Hutton, a couple of guys that, started with us that have kind of just moved on, but Ben Wexler, Martin Brown. I mean, those guys were all around from day one. We played our first game ever together at Milwaukee Bavarians the first season 5 years ago. So there's a lot of players that have set this foundation, and the guys that founded it and the people that bought into it early. And I mean, those are the people that I think have built the foundation to give us competitive soccer to play and try and win trophies at. So yeah, I'd say it's just been a good ride to focus on that. And I don't know. I don't view myself as a face or the face. And I just not really. I'm just the goalie, and if I make a mistake, I'm going to be the face for sure. So don't make sure you're not making mistakes.
Can you go through a little bit of, just in case some of our listeners aren't familiar, who City are as a club and their identity, how successful they've been in the recent years coming up as a club? Can you just give us a quick 2, 3, 5 minute spiel?